Hi everyone, this is Mehul Mehta and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today's podcast, we have a very special guest. His name is Venkatesh. So he is my senior from NC State, so I call him Venki Bhaiya. So hi Bhaiya, welcome to the podcast.
Hey Mehul, thanks for having me, man. Like finally, in the eyes of my parents, my family, I've made it. I've made it
Yeah.
in life podcast.
Yeah, sure, Bhaiya. So, Bhaiya, in this podcast, I genuinely wanted to understand your experience from starting, from India because you did bachelor's in mechanical engineering. So, starting from there, and like, how was your experience about NC State? Because a lot of students have inquired, like, how NC State program is for quant finance or for financial mathematics. So, we'll drive our conversation there, but can you give us your quick educational introduction or education background? What was your education background and what were you doing in India?
Yeah, sounds good. So I don't come from a family of engineers and doctors. My father was in the hospitality space. My grandfather was a pharmacist. My mother followed that route and so on. From my maternal side, they were priests. So not from a STEM background. I did not have much of a STEM guidance in the family. Whatever I had was mostly from my teachers and friends around me. So we had this teacher in particular who had made it set in our minds that either you were a mechanical engineer from IIT Powai or else you are zero in life. So, so in 11th and 12th, we were going through this IIT JEE preparation and so on. IIT JEE to never happened. Like I bombed that exam. But we thought, okay, if not IIT JEE, let's at least do mechanical engineering. So that way, some hopes are there in life. So that's why we went into that route. Many of my friends did the same thing. And then I had a particular liking for math. So I found mechanical engineering as a good place to apply that, so on and so forth. Um, Not everything mechanical engineering interested me. So I decided to sidetrack a little bit. I accepted an offer with HSBC as a software engineer right after undergrad. And I realized my liking of math, there's an avenue in finance if I pursue this route. So I worked with HSBC for a year and a half. I worked in the tax compliance side of things. I picked up some finance skills, some programming skills, knowledge of how a big corporation works, and so on. And then I was applying. I got accepted into NC State for the financial engineering program. So that's how my trajectory towards quant finance has followed.
Yeah. How many years of work experience you had back in India?
I've worked approximately 2 years. I think 2 months short of 2 years, basically. That's as much as I worked.
Okay.
I did not have any internship experience and all in my undergrad. So you can say my experience was just short of 2 years.
Okay. And it was more aligned towards software developing side of it.
Yeah. It was like we were trained on Java, and that's what we did. Whatever software we developed or maintained, all related to Java, all related to tax and compliance and so on.
So, like, how did you thought of pursuing a master's in financial mathematics? So, just for audience, quant finance, financial engineering, financial mathematics, they almost have like the same curriculum. So, when I say financial mathematics, you can expect that as quant finance. But like, Venki, like, how did you thought of pursuing this master's degree?
That's a pretty good question, actually. I wasn't someone who was set in my mind that this is exactly what I want to pursue and follow up. At HSBC, I really started liking finance, various aspects of it, be it corporate finance, be it equity valuations, so on and so forth. I did want to always pursue higher education, but I wanted to choose a route which will not get outdated. I was always afraid that I knew computer science was going to be an integral part of everyone's lives. So I did not want to just take up finance and go with it and then find myself outdated in terms of skills. That's where I was in my research. I came across these universities who were offering a quant finance program, which was a good blend of finance, a good blend of programming, getting you prepared for the industry. And I was not someone who had a very research mindset. So you did not have to do a thesis, you did not have to do a defense. You could come out equipped with these kind of skills. So that's why I decided to pursue quant finance.
And like, how was your GRE and TOEFL score? Like,
My GRE and TOEFL score were all right. I mean, in today's date, probably it's below average. But I pursued my GRE the way we followed any competitive entrance exams in India. So you know how in India, when you applying for your undergrad or something, it didn't matter what your statement of purpose or letter of recommendation. You just had to go give a competitive exam, do really well, and then you get whatever you want. So that's what I thought it was going to be to here too. So I gave GRE that time. I prepared for it a full month and proper dedicated preparation. I did pretty well in math. In English, I was a little behind. So I scored about, I think my score was 328. I
Yeah,
was
it's
like,
so good. 320, it's so amazing.
but in today's day, it's definitely not. With
No,
the
no,
resources available, it's probably far behind.
no, no, it's
Um,
still good. It's still good. Yeah.
no, maybe I felt it was far behind because I was like, man, with 4 years of mechanical engineering and everything, I thought I was going to get 340 out of 340 because, like, why couldn't you? It's not a very hard exam if you think about it.
Right, right.
TOEFL, I did all right. There was this professor who had uploaded 8 hours worth of videos on YouTube even back then. It was called Noteful. I remember his like
Yeah,
YouTube channel.
I also followed
You
that.
exactly. You do Noteful. You go into that exam and then you just like deliver it.
Hmm.
You keep your ego out of the picture that you know English and everything. You just go and answer the way he has told you. And I scored a good 114. I was very happy with my TOEFL. So I was like, yeah, very
Yeah,
good.
that is great scores, to be honest. So, like, how did you shortlist the universities? Because there are so many universities, like Carnegie Mellon, Cornell, you have NC State, Rutgers. Like, so how many universities did you apply, and like, what was your mindset back then?
Uh, my mindset was very poor because I was winging it. I initially thought you give GRE and then all doors open up for you. It's not that way. I realized there is statement of purpose and there is letters of recommendation. Quite a lot of voluminous work goes in. So after I gave my GRE, I realized, oh, I will need recommendations. Then I started reaching out my professors saying, I'm going to, apply in a year from now. I'm going to need your help and so on. So definitely not a strategy you should follow. From a research point of view, I was just um, trying to see which are the good resources that rank universities, because back in the day US news used to be
Hmm.
the top ranking. But if you realized, we were specifically going in line of quant finance, quantnet used to do a better job at it.
Yep.
So I went through quantnet. I saw like historical rankings, and I started looking at programs that were historically improving, not just there. Because I don't want to name them, but there were programs that were historically on top, but slowly falling in their rankings, even though they were still in top 10.
Hmm.
But a program like NC State, which you and I both did, before I applied, that program was under 20. No, I mean over 20. And then it was slowly increasing in rankings and it was starting to do very well. So I started to get a feeling that okay, this program is putting efforts to improve it. So this was a good program to apply to. And then I strategized in such a way that I applied to 6, 7 universities in the US,
Mhm.
6, 7 universities in Europe. I was lucky that UNC Charlotte and NCSU accepted mine. But if you see, despite having decently good GRE scores, I did not get admits from some of the top universities because my overall approach was not holistic. It was all over the place.
And do you think because you did not have a relevant quant finance experience or a quant experience, that might be one of the biggest reason to get a reject, or anything on that?
I think one of the biggest reasons I got a reject was my statements of purpose were
Poor.
definitely not up to the mark.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
The like I have a story. It's very embarrassing, and I was a kid back then, so you have to give me you have to excuse me. So I was applying to this university in Europe, and I was seeing how best to apply, how best to structure your SOPs. So I found this blog or something that said, don't just write anything that you feel you are passionate about and this and that. Your SOP should be structured like this. It should talk nice things about the university. It should talk nice things about the professors, the students, and then you pick a professor, and then you flatter them so that they give you the admit. So that's what I did. I applied to this university. I found out some alumni names, some products that came out of them, this. And I wrote about a professor saying, I would love to meet him and then study under him and so on. I sent the application. I never heard back from them. Never. 2 months later, I realized the professor had passed away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was horrible strategy. So I was like, no, this formula is not working for me. Let me just structure my SOPs such that, why do I want to pursue that degree? So those were the ones I sent out, like UNC Charlotte, NCSU, because the application windows were still open. And luckily, I got admitted to those programs.
Okay, okay. And so like so let's talk about NC State in general. So like how
Mhm.
did you like the overall program?
I liked it very much. I did not. I wasn't very comfortable with programming,
Mm,
so I did not at that time. I did not want to pursue a program that was computer programming heavy. It
mm,
was a mistake, no doubt about that. But when I saw NC State's program, not just in terms of like C++ and this and that, they were focused on statistics. They were focused on learning about derivatives. They were focused on the math side of it, and then implement them using programming languages. So that's why I really liked NC State's program. Um, the focus on statistics is absolutely must if you are pursuing a field like ours. Probabilities, distributions, these used to keep coming up. Then when I reached here, it was the first time I started coding in Python. And
mm,
Python I really, really enjoyed. So then I did not mind racking up more and more curriculum like data science,
yeah,
machine learning, data structures and algorithms, some computer heavy courses also, because Python made things very simple and very easy to work with.
right. And okay. So it is, lot of juniors reach out to me and they said, oh, if you become a quant, you get a 200,000 salary and stuff like that. And this is like, I don't know, if I feel it's more like a misconception, because at least like most of the people who graduated within my batch, none of them had 200,000 salary. So do you think, is it a right figure that everyone gets a 200,000 salary? Like any take on like any take on that?
Not only is it the wrong figure, but that is a wrong attitude.
Mm,
Personally, I would say, if you are coming to study here because you want to get out with a 200,000 salary, no, you should come here with the mindset to learn. And then you should use the masters, your 18 months, 20 months, whatever, as a way to ask yourself, what is it you want to do with this knowledge?
mm,
Granted, you may start off with a lower salary. That happened to me too. But then there are avenues to, once you get really good at your job, you can then start having more commanding power over the salary that you want.
right.
What do you want to do with $200,000?
Mm,
Like, if you just think that, oh, wow, a senior of mine went, or an elder cousin of mine went, and now he's uploading nice pictures on Instagram with his BMW and a beautiful person in his life. And so that is the wrong attitude.
yeah,
If you're coming to study, you should come because you like this topic.
right.
So yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, I agree, because so many juniors, they reach out to me and they said, "Hey, is everyone getting 200K?" Because there are a lot of people talk about getting into quant and getting a higher salary, and I'm like, it doesn't happen like that. Don't get into that bullshit of, okay, you'll crack 200. No one does actually. Only people from, I know someone who has like years of experience, and still he started at a decent package, not like 200,000. So that's
Yeah,
where.
I mean, I granted hedge funds will pay you, but that's not everyone in your classroom. You must be an exceptional programmer. You should know machine level coding, should be an exceptional programmer, and then that makes you unique. And why 200? I know hedge funds that pay 400. I know someone who's getting 600, but that is not common. They are not getting it because they have come and done masters from so and so program. They have done it because they are exceptionally talented people who have worked really hard in their lives.
Right.
So yeah,
Also, Bhaiya, what I wanted to understand about NC State program in general. So, do you
Yeah.
think it's more theoretical in nature, or is it more practical in nature with respect to the industry standards, or like what we do in the industry? So, do you think is it more towards theory, or what's your take on that?
I think it's a good enough balance. You will not just aimlessly be doing projects without knowing what's the end result. You will neither be aimlessly learning theory by hearting it and answering. You and I can say this because not only did I graduate, I'm on the alumni board. We actively provide industry inputs to the program. Every 6 months we meet, we see how we are doing. If there are things that we can do to improve. So I think that's a good enough balance that we have. It's we do it in such a way that we invite industry participants to come and talk to us. That gives the students to understand what is the demand of the industry. We have some of really good professors who've been teaching for 20 plus years, some who were even working on Wall Street, to come and talk to you. And not just theory, how to apply that theory is what they teach also. So like, I know we had this professor who wouldn't just talk about, okay, duration and convexity is this and this. He
Hmm.
would actually recall events in his career where he was able to apply them, what it meant, how the traders or desk people talk about these durations, so on and so forth. So I think that is one thing that's special about our program at NC State.
Right. I know like, the professor takes two different subject. I guess one is FRM and there's one more subject he takes. So yeah,
Hmm.
definitely one of the best professor that we have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Also, like, what do you think now because you have graduated? So a lot of students, they have this fear that, oh, I do not know C++. Okay, and they fear about entering into quant finance. And because like honestly, last 4 5 years I've been just using Python, and I
Yeah.
have not been coding into C++ because of course I'm not targeting any high frequency trading firm where it's been actually been used. So what do you think? What are the relevant programming languages that someone should learn during their journey in quantitative finance?
In today's day, definitely Python.
Okay.
Uh, in my case, I have had instances where I've had to read and interpret C++ code or Java code or Perl code. But if you understand one programming language well, I think you don't have to code and all the others, but at least by looking at a program, you are able to tell, okay, this is what is a loop, this is what's a condition, this is a function, this is a class. Those things will look slightly similar. That is one thing. Now, if you are going to be working in C++, definitely you have to pick it up. But if you are just entering, like, if you're not going to be very, how do you say, very C++ focused or very machine learning, machine language focused, I think Python is a very good place to be at.
Right.
Even if you do have to interpret some vast C++ codes, this is a hack. But if you can just copy and paste it in a Copilot and say, "Can you explain this code to me?" the Copilot will do it.
Yeah.
So I think we are at that point. You shouldn't be afraid that you don't know C++. That's why you will not be very good in this world. But know at least one programming language well. That is required.
And would you recommend Python to start with?
100%. It's easy. It's decently fast. There's a lot of support. A lot of things you can do with it. You don't have to wait for too many permissions. This that you think of a project. You can open your laptop. You can open Google Colab. Start coding. At the end of the day, you have something. You can do your homework in it. You can publish in it. You can visualize in it. Whatever. So Python is a great place.
Also, one more thing which I wanted to ask is about the placement scenario. So, like in India, companies come into the university and they get you placed, they'll pick you. But in
Yeah.
US, it's like totally different. You have to approach to the different companies, right? So, like how, I mean, can you tell like when you were a student, what all things you were doing in this in terms of placement and job finding out job opportunities?
Yeah. I I understand students are going through a tough time right now, not just in financial engineering, also in other streams. I know folks who are graduating, struggling to get a job. Back when I was graduating, also things were a bit similar to this. It was hard for international students to get the job. I think you have to learn to be self-sufficient. Network a lot, and by networking, I don't just mean like fire up a LinkedIn, open someone's profile, and just send him a message saying, "Oh wow, you are awesome." No, like go and meet them, go to careers, ask if a mutual connection can introduce you to them. That is what I actively used to try to do. Sometimes there used to be events in Charlotte, which was 2-3 hours away. I should take the bus and go just to meet someone. You never know who you start a conversation with. Maybe they can introduce you to someone, so on and so forth. Second thing I used to actively do is I used to look at alumni of not just NCSU, but of other universities that were offering similar programs. I used to see where they were placed. I
Right.
used to reach out to them, or I used to see the company websites. So that is what I used to try to do. Um, yeah, I mean that those were my two main things, like network, and then look at different alumni that are doing successful in the kind of roles that I want to be in, and then yeah, reach out to them.
Yeah. Did you get any internship during your master's degree?
I did. I was fortunate. It was a random, like a job search. I think it was Quora. It was not
Quora.
even like LinkedIn or Indeed or something. It was Quora. It used to be big back then. And this person had posted a comment saying she's hiring for data analyst interns. I saw the company. They were market makers on Wall Street, very small company, mostly to do with derivatives and, in a certain specific sector. So I just cold emailed her saying, I'm so and so student at NCSU. I understand this topic. I wanted to see if there's any chance I could apply those at the internship. And I told her I don't expect to get paid. The experience will be the payment I take and so on.
Mhm.
She immediately got back to me. I was lucky. She said, we don't have a unpaid intern, so you will be paid, but we want to invite you to come and interview with us. And then 2-3 interviews later, I did get an internship.
Okay.
But that was a very unconventional way. Before then, I had close to 100 plus interview rejects. And in today's day, 100 plus rejects is no big deal because LinkedIn and Indeed Apply has made it so easy to apply. Back then, you actually had to type out your resume there. So writing 100 plus applications was very time consuming.
Right. Also, like, so you said about getting internship. So a lot of students, they do not get internship, and they fear that they won't get placed as in a full-time offer. So can you like guide like juniors like who have not gotten the internship? Because a lot of time what happens is people come from India, students come from India, and they're not really prepared because they do not have any past working experience, and by the time they level up, the internship season has already gone, as it's like the summer holidays, right? So like what would you suggest? Like, do you think like if you do not get an internship, you will also find hard to get a full-time offer, or like any guidance on that?
I think that varies based on case. I think that varies based on everyone's case. I did not convert my internship into a full time job. So back when I came back, I was back in the rat race of applying. There were students who did not do a summer internship, but they ended up presenting their summer project to some industry participants who liked it, and they got jobs before us.
Oh.
So yeah, it's not like if you did an internship, it's easier. If you did the project, or if you didn't do it over the summer, it's harder, so on and so forth. If you did do an internship, I would say go out 100%, give it your 100%, because there is no better chance of getting a full-time job. If you did not, then spend your summer very wisely.
Hmm.
um, you know do research, find ways to see if you can publish something, find ways to see if you can do a project. Or what is commonly happening nowadays is, sometimes alumni and sometimes even companies would have projects that they have hard time finding junior analysts or associates to do, but it's not very hard to do. So they are sometimes happy to work with universities saying, this is a project that we wanted to do. It's, it's light research, this, that, no internal data. If you have 4 or 5 students, they can, work. Don't expect to get paid, but that even opens up some FaceTime options with the, with those companies. So I would say try to do something like that, but spend your summer very, very wisely. Do challenging projects and do relevant projects. Don't just pick up a random stock price simulation using machine learning. Like, no, just pick a topic that's very relevant to the industry.
Right. Also, so talking about the summer project that NC State offers, right? So I
Mhm.
guess so students who do not get internship, they are automatically given the summer projects. So like I was a part of the summer project in which we were building. So basically it's a company sponsored project, right? So we were building a Python based library for bond pricing, and the bond that we were pricing was TIPS. So I genuinely feel that even if someone who has not made into the internship, I mean, if they come to NC State and just do the summer project wisely, I mean, they have a very good chance because I mean, it captures it. You can have those project in your resume, and I guess that gives
Yeah.
you a very, very good edge.
And this is a very practical project too. I mean, not every day, every market participant is doing, okay, what is the stock market going to look like tomorrow? But all the biggest participants on Wall Street, their portfolios are mostly fixed income. A
Hmm.
bond pricer is something that they're going to use day in and day out. Imagine if you build a library that makes it so easy for them. You just give it a Q, figures everything out. And
Right.
that is able to solve a lot of their problems. This is a very relevant project. So yeah, I mean, good for you that despite not having an internship, you did a relevant project like this.
Mhm.
So yeah, you should definitely do projects like these.
Also, last question that I have in mind is a lot of students, they come from BCom background, BBA background, chartered accountancy background. I do receive a lot of requests like, will I be able to transition into quant finance ever? The thing is, back in India, all this high frequency trading firm, they only prefer IITians, and they have the specific thing that will only hire from IIT Bombay or top 3 or 4 IITs, and that's why it becomes hard for engineers as well and people from different backgrounds altogether, BCom, BBA, chartered accountancy, to transition into quant finance. So do you think like is this field made for only top people or people who are math geniuses, or is it for everyone who likes this field?
There is some truth to saying this field is meant for top people, but I think our perspective of who is top and who is not top has to change.
Yeah.
No one should be saying that just because you're coming from commerce or just because you're not from an engineering college, you are not meant for this. Absolutely not. And I have a practical example. My closest friend, when I was doing my masters, he had finished his engineering, but he had then joined construction. He used to do paint work and so on.
Mm.
I had another classmate who was a musician. I had another classmate who was an Uber driver. Like,
Yeah.
you can come from any field as long as you show the drive and commitment to study the topics that are part of the program. You like doing what you're doing, and in today's date, you show curiosity to pick up something like a Python, which is an everyday skill, and run with it. There is no stopping you. So just because you're coming from commerce and just because you're not coming from an engineering field should not hold you back. I mean, you can open up Khan Academy right now and learn statistics. You can go to Abdul Bari's channel and learn C++. Like, it doesn't matter if you ever opened an IDE before. You learn all of these skills before you come to NCSU. So don't let that hold you back, that you have only done commerce or you've only done arts. Uh, but yeah,
Okay.
what can help you, I feel, is some experience. If you are coming from a commerce background, you can still go and work for some big four auditors. You can still go and work in India at some one of the big four investment banks, see what the internal structure is like, then come and pursue this degree. I have a feeling that might make it easier, so yeah.
Also, yeah, Venki, we have one last question which I have in mind is the admission fee for NC State is $60,000. And in India, $60,000 is a big deal, right? I mean, there are so many people who take like education loan and come to US to pursue. Do you think it's all worth paying that much money, given that because sometimes the job market is shaky, like things are going on? And what do you think? What's your take? Like, would you recommend people, or would you recommend students, or any thought process on that?
I mean, if your mindset is in the right place, then this decision becomes easy. Hear me out. If you have seen YouTube ads saying, "Oh, do this degree and you'll come out with a $200,000 job," and for that reason, if you're taking that $60,000 loan, it can get tough. I have a feeling things will get tough. But if you know this is the line you want to pursue, that this is the job that you want to get in, if you have a 3-4 year plan, I think that $60,000 you should be able to pay in your first 5 years. So if this is something you're interested in, if you foresee yourself doing this for a long period of time, I understand $60,000 even in today's rate is quite a lot of amount, but I have a feeling you'll be able to pay it back. But provided you work towards getting that job.
Right.
If you come here and slack, like and this happens all the time. I'm sure this happened to you also. People don't even do their homeworks. They
Mm.
wait till the last minute because they know one of their classmates they can go and
Yeah.
beg to them and then just share the answer. If this is your attitude, forget about it. That 60,000 is going to keep racking up interest and keep going up. So I have a feeling like NCSU at least has a very good program. The fee is worth it. Hopefully, you can get some lower interest loan, and
Right.
that can probably help you with your education.
Right. So yeah, that was all about it. Any last recommendations for student who wants to either who wants to transition into quant finance, or who are planning to pursue like masters in quant finance in United States? Any last recommendations for them?
I feel this is still a growing field. I feel there is still a lot of room for smart people. We don't even have to look further than Mehul himself. You know, I'm glad people like you are in this field, making it better for the rest of us also. So I think what I would say is stay closer to technology. Be really interested in the things that you're learning if this is an area that interests you, and give it your all. Like, don't look back. If you have made the commitment to come here and study, give it your all. This is what I'd like to
And
say.
and like how much hard work do international students does in this degree? Like anything on that?
uh I mean, like, it can vary. Like, I used to think I'm a very hardworking student, but I knew folks who were putting in a lot more hours and doing a part-time job on the university and so on. So uh, like, I remember during the entire master's period, the entire fall, spring, summer, and fall, we ordered takeout twice in the entire one.
What are you
I'm
saying?
sure
Just twice?
just twice. Okay, we used to eat at some of these quick service restaurants like Chick-fil-A and stuff like that. I wouldn't call that like but like party kind of meals twice.
Right. Okay.
So it didn't matter to us though. When I look back at my master's days, it doesn't feel like struggling days. It was we really enjoyed studying. I'm sure you enjoyed studying also. Late nights in the library, DH Hale Hunt Library, all that was a lot of fun. So working hard did not feel like hard work. And I know this for a fact because after I graduated from NC State, my wife also went to NC State. Even she studied there. I think you met her too.
Yeah, I met. Yeah.
Yeah. So even it was the same case for her. She made good friends. They used to study a lot. It doesn't feel like, oh, tough phase of my life, I wouldn't do. No, nothing like that. You if you enjoy studying this, you'll really enjoy the hard work.
Right, right. Well, that's great advice, Venki bhai. But thank you so much for coming onto the podcast and sharing your thought process to all the students. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. I'm glad I did this. I'm glad your channel is doing well. I hope it becomes number one in our field because you are absolutely killing it.
Thank you so much, Bhaiya. Thank you.
Cool.